Warning, the following podcast contains adult language, themes, and situations. Also, the film we're about to talk about is going to be spoiled thoroughly. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy this show.
When we last left the world's first family, the Croods had started a journey to find the perfect place to live and were dominating the box office. Unfortunately for the entire planet, the continuation of their journey was pushed back due to development hell until the fall of 2020, which for some odd reason wasn't a great time to be hanging out in movie theaters. Nevertheless, the Croods managed to make another small fortune and learn to walk upright again just like the rest of us. With the Croods, a new age.
Okay, let's run.
I'm like a prickly pear.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat a-hole? Porker, how'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? Hey, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and being until you pissed blood?
Welcome to One Cage at a Time, the show where we break down every single Nicolas Cage movie, one film at a time. Here are your hosts, Patrick, Vince, and Nigel.
The Croods continue their hunt for a new home away from the sprawling hellscape they left behind in the first movie, only to stumble upon a walled-in, idyllic paradise. But there's just one problem. This new land is already inhabited by some insufferable hippies who see the Croods as a bunch of unevolved, primitive cavemen and soon hatch a plan to give neanderthals the boot and steal Guy for themselves.
Let's see who's joining Nick on this adventure.
The Croods, A New Age, gives us one of the final performances from screen legend Cloris Leachman. Newcomers to the franchise, the amazing Leslie Mann, and everyone's favorite imp, George R.R. Martin's words, not ours, Peter Dinklage. Hollywood's go-to when they need a snarky character, Ryan Reynolds, Oscar winner Emma Stone, and two-time nominee Catherine Keener, and of course, the cave dad we all wish we could get into the cuddle pile with, Academy Award-winning actor Nicolas Kim Coppola, better known as Nicolas Cage.
It's time to go over some of the finer details.
The Croods, A New Age was released, unfortunately, November 25th, 2020. This was one of the first films that was released post-pandemic in theaters. Like, there were only a few. I feel like Tenet came out, and this was one of the first, like, kids' movies. This was, like, the first time people sort of started to feel semi-comfortable going back to the theater, but they were still, if you remember, like, the theaters were, you know, seats were like blocked off and you couldn't sit next to other groups. And like the fact that it did what it did financially is a miracle given the circumstances of what was going on. But had a budget of $65 million, which is way less than the first movie.
Really?
The first movie cost $155 million.
Yeah.
This was less than half, and I think it's a way better movie than the first movie.
It looks way better. It's written better. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it took a long time to come out. I feel like the first one was, 2013? 2013.
All right, so
7 years of advancements in technology. We'll get to it, but the bulk of the animation was done with people working from home because of the pandemic. The final touches, at least, you know, they had been working on it a little bit before that, but like, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a way better film in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And it grossed $216 million in November of 2020 when if you remember, the vaccine wasn't out. Everybody was still fucking terrified. Everybody was having to wear masks everywhere. Nobody wanted to go to a movie theater, including myself. So $216 million is a lot. Just imagine how well it would have done if it would have come out in a normal release schedule.
$500 million.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, the first one made $587 million.
Yeah.
I think this one would have probably done like 700. And unfortunately, I feel like it's hurt its longevity post release too. I don't think people think of it as much as the first one just because they may not have seen it. They may not have gone to the theater and seen it.
Yeah.
You know, So
I didn't even know
it's kind of a shame.
I didn't even know it existed until this season. And you're like,
Right.
we're doing Croods and Croods 2. I was like, they did a follow-up to the first one? I didn't know. I thought their follow-up, I thought they had a pivot and they just did that Hulu show or whatever, that animated show. So yeah, I could definitely see.
They did a show?
Yeah, there's a TV show. It's Hulu, I think Peacock ended up picking
Peacock,
it up.
maybe. Yeah.
And then there's also a Dawn of Croods. I think it's a made-for-TV movie or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a whole franchise around the Croods, and I kind of wonder if, I hope eventually we're going to get a third Croods movie, because this movie deserves a follow-up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they did... all the complaints I had about the first movie are gone in this movie. So,
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
much better film overall, and a great follow-up that unfortunately had just really bad timing.
Yeah.
And there was some like behind the scenes stuff that was going on that we'll get into here too. This was directed by Joel Crawford, who is not the person who directed the original. Chris Sanders and Kirk D'Amico did the original. This one was Joel Crawford, who went on to do the new Puss in Boots movie, The Last Wish, which was nominated for Best Animated Feature. But he's only directed a couple things. This and Puss in Boots. That's it, which is kind of surprising. But, he was a storyboard artist before, which we've seen that a lot. He worked on Kung Fu Panda 1 through 3, did that creepy Jerry Seinfeld bee movie. The woman falls in love with a bee.
Sexually awakening movie. Sexual awakening. Sexual revolution, if you will.
Yeah, for some of us, Shrek 4, which I feel like nobody remembers. And then Rise of the Guardians, which we talked about in our last episode.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
It's so funny that you mentioned that about Shrek 4, because I was just, and the kids had pulled all the movies out of the cabinet the other night because they like doing that. So I was putting them all away, and we have the box set of the Shrek Blu-rays, and I was like, "There's 4 Shrek movies."
It's like Shrek Goes Forth or something like
There's
that.
Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, and then Shrek the Final Chapter, I think is what it's called. So,
Well, it's not the final chapter because they're doing
But I
a
was
fifth
like, I can't-
film, baby.
yeah, but I
they
was
can't
just
leave that thing alone. Yeah.
I was just like, I can't. I swear to God, there was only 3 of these things.
I don't remember 3 or 4. I remember 1 and 2 really well. Remember 2 being great, and yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I watched 3 at some point, but I definitely never watched 4.
Yeah, I've never seen the 4th one.
This was written by, so the story came from the original writers and directors, Chris Sanders and Kirk D'Amico, but the screenplay ended up having 4 different writers. So Dan and Kevin, I think it's Hageman or Hageman. It's a brother writing team that wrote Mystery Men. They wrote the Lego movie. They were the creators of Star Trek Prodigy. So they have a good track record. But then also Paul Fisher, who wrote Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, the Lego Ninjago movie.
Ninjago.
That one either. And then Bob Logan, who is primarily a storyboard artist, again, who, among many other well-known things, has worked on stuff like The Simpsons, Madagascar, Megamind, and Astro Boy. So the story was originally... We had John Cleese was originally working on the original Croods, and then he left, and then Chris Sanders and Kirk D'Amico ended up taking it over, and they came up with this story, I think, and then these guys took it over, and there were 4 different writers. So I don't know, man. It just it seemed like it was in developmental hell for a long time.
Yeah.
Just had all sorts of problems behind the scenes.
And with the success of the first one, it was like, well, they're not going to not make a sequel. So
Yeah, exactly.
they probably just did whatever they could to get it fucking made because it was going to make money.
Yeah, we'll get into it in the question.
Aside from unfortunate circumstances affecting the world at the time, but
yes,
No one
the
would have known
pandemic was actually kind of the least effective, like least horrible thing that happened during this production of, I mean, I guess that's not true, but
What?
I mean,
But,
for the
you know,
production,
it
was.
for
the world,
production,
not so much.
yeah. Edited by James Ryan, who also edited Turbo, which is it's like a snail movie or something.
Oh,
Cartoon.
yeah.
Boss Baby, Puss in Boots, Last Wish. This is kind of the same crew who went on to do that Last Wish movie, which was hugely successful. Which, like, I remember the first one being really successful, but then everybody's kind of like, I don't know if it's just recency bias or what, but everybody's kind of like crapped on that movie now, and they like, oh, Last Wish is just a masterpiece, and that movie sucked. And I was like, no, that movie did really well. And,
Yeah.
and I remember it being really good and actually better than many of the Shrek movies at that point.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, and funny enough, the editor, James Ryan, is also the voice of Sash in the movie. The sloth, the female sloth. The love interest of this masterpiece. At least my love interest. That was the one that I was, Never mind. And of course, music by the great and amazing, we've talked about it many times, Mark Mothersbaugh. You know him, you love him, the legendary lead singer of Devo, who we've talked about extensively. This guy just never stops working, dude. I don't know. Like, he is just a fucking workhorse. Like, 275 credits now as a composer. That's not counting the huge body of work behind Devo and his other musical projects. That's just as a composer. 275 credits.
Jesus.
Since 1987. He started with Revenge of the Nerds was the first thing
Wow.
that he did. And he works, I swear he does like 8 fucking scores a year. The man's he's prolific.
Yeah.
Which,
He's
up
not
there.
Meg.
He's
Devo.
That's true. He's got to be in his late 60s, maybe early 70s. He's getting up there. And Devo just did a tour just recently. I think it was supposed to be like their farewell tour, but
Yeah.
that's crazy.
He's like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta do movies.
Yeah.
I got 70 more movies to work on.
I mean, I think he lives in Los Angeles, and it's an easy. He just drives to his little studio and he pumps out music all day long. It must be a perfect life for somebody like him.
Yeah.
Somebody who just absolutely loves making music.
Yep.
Ratings: this got a 77%, 6.4 out of 10 on 158 reviews. Which seems kind of low, especially when you put it up against the audience score, which is a 94%.
That feels way more accurate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, 94% versus 77. That's.
I wonder how much of it was just holdovers of critics, just like they had to sit through the first Croods, and we're like, can't believe I got to watch another damn one, because that was my attitude at least to start, and then the movie really won me over. But
yeah. Same.
Yeah, or it's just, if critics just are harsher on kids' movies than they should be because they're not kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're probably
It seems like a low
super
score.
depressed at the time, sitting at home.
I have to go
fucking
risk my
useless.
life to see this movie.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I wonder if they got advanced screeners or.
I'm sure
there was
I'm sure
something.
they gotta watch it at home.
Yeah, I would assume a lot of people ended up seeing this on home video, which again, that just really puts in perspective that 216 million that it made at the box office, which is astronomical for November of 2020.
Yeah. How much did Tenet make?
What's that?
How much did Tenet make? I remember that was like the big
not as much.
blockbuster.
We'll talk about it in the quick facts, but this was the highest grossing film up to that point, post pandemic.
How much did Pig make? More?
3 million.
But that one only cost what, 5, 8, something.
I think that was the first movie I went to see in the theater post pandemic was Pig. Not a shock, but Metacritic score was a 56%, which seems really low.
Yeah, that's really low.
Again, it's weighted by fame of critics. So like if one famous critic shits on it, then then it gets a really shitty score, which is, I just don't like the way that Metacritic does. I feel like next season I'm going to change things up and add a few. I think Letterboxd should be on here, and we should start varying it up a little bit more. But I think Metacritic will stay just because it's one of the big ones. But I hate the way they score things. It just doesn't make any sense. IMDb, again, is the audience, the real audience, but only 6.9 out of 10. Which is also surprising given that the Rotten Tomatoes score is 94%. I don't know. It's all out of whack, man.
Yeah.
And then the cinema score was an A, which was the same as the first one. Both of them had an A. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's fair, but still.
For the first one, no, it should have been lower. For
no,
this one,
the first one, maybe an A- on the first one and an A on this one.
Yeah.
How about a Coppola quick facts?
All right, so let's get into some of the behind-the-scenes drama here. In April 2013, DreamWorks announced a sequel to the film The Croods. After that, it had such a successful opening. It was like almost $600 million for the first one. With Chris Sanders and Kirk D'Amico set to return as directors and writers. According to D'Amico, the sequel would focus on Uga and motherhood. Making it the first chapter of Society, which would expand on the first film, which he said is the last chapter of the Cavemen. So more of a grounded, smaller story, I think, where they're not just running from dying the whole movie. But on August 9th, 2016, when Comcast acquired DreamWorks, 20th Century Fox removed the film from the release schedule. The film would instead be released by Universal Pictures, and they were planning on having it come out sometime in 2018. But on August 23rd, 2016, it was reported that Kevin and Dan Hageman, or Hageman, I don't know how to say their last name, had been hired to rewrite the script. So apparently they didn't like the direction that things were going with D'Amico and Sanders. And the acquisition gave them the opportunity to just kind of boot them off the project, even though they made $600 million. But I guess they didn't like how staunchly they were trying to get a certain story across. I don't know. I don't know if that story would have been better than what we got, but I feel like we got a pretty good story. But, anyways. On November 11th, 2016, DreamWorks announced that production for the sequel was 100% completely canceled. And according to reports, there had been doubts about proceeding with the project before Universal's acquisition of DreamWorks. And DreamWorks decided to cancel the film. So apparently it was going to be canceled completely by DreamWorks, but then they were bought. And then it was canceled again. I don't know. However, in September of 2017, they realized they needed some money. DreamWorks and Universal revealed that the film was back in production with a release schedule for a scheduled date of September 18th, 2020, which was a bad time to come out. It was also revealed that both D'Amico and Sanders would not be returning. In October 2017, it was reported that Joel Crawford would replace them as director. So it sounds like a lot of shit happened behind closed doors with this film. I don't know if maybe D'Amico and Sanders pissed off the wrong people. I don't know what really happened there. You make a movie that costs $150 million and it makes $600, you're pretty much guaranteed a sequel. So the fact that they canceled this thing twice is kind of crazy to me.
It was probably just there was so much writing on it because the first one saved the studio from bankruptcy, right?
Yeah.
Kept it from going under. So they were like, we can't fuck this up. It can make us a ton of money and keep us afloat for however many long too. So that means there's tons of cooks in the kitchen that come in and want to direct stuff and make sure things are done right and whatever. It's their version of right. Which can cause production hell.
Yeah. It could make a Joker sequel that nobody wanted.
Actually, I think the opposite happened with that one.
Yeah.
Where they were he was like, let me do whatever I want. And they were like, okay, here's $20 million. Here's $200 million.
Wow, this sucks. This is the longest wait for a sequel to any DreamWorks animation film, at least to date. It was released 7.5 years after the first movie. The longest break between that was between Kung Fu Panda 2 and Kung Fu Panda 3, which was 2011 to 2016. I think Kung Fu Panda 4 just recently came out, so I guess that's like 8 years, right? So maybe it broke that record, but 7.5 years is a long time in between sequels, especially something that had the heat that the Croods did. I feel like you could have really banked on this thing, especially if it came out in 2018. I feel like that would have been perfect time for it to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the story they didn't like and something was clunky, and yeah, it just too much going on behind the scenes. This movie was made, as I mentioned, for a significantly smaller budget than the first film of approximately $65 million compared to the Hollywood math of 135 to 175 million that we talked about in the first movie that I just made 155. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the final result that you see on screen was actually animated in the crew's homes, which is pretty amazing. Because I don't know about you guys, but I think this movie looks 1,000 times better than the first movie.
Yeah, I would have easily thought that the budget was twice as much as the first movie, not half as much. That's ridiculous.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I'm a huge proponent from people working from home. So I think, we could make movies for a lot cheaper if people just work from home.
Yeah.
You don't have to offshore all this shit. Just let people work from home. This was
how
the
do you
biggest.
control them, Patrick? How do you
That's
control
true.
your employees?
How do you micromanage them and they end up wasting tons of time anyway because they're at work and they had to go through a soul-crushing 2-hour commute. And yeah. Anyways, this was the biggest box office opening since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So like I said, I really wonder how much money this movie would have made if it would have come out at a different time, because I think it would have probably made 600-700, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, look at
I can't imagine it making less than the original, although it's been long enough. Maybe all the kids that originally watched that are going to be teenagers, or adults and aren't going to care as much. But
that's what I was going to say. Look at 2024's summer release of animated films. You had Despicable 4, or whatever that's called, Inside Out 2. You had like these huge franchises that just crushed, and you could argue a lot of those kids who grew up with the original films are now teenagers or adults in the Despicable Me franchise, and they still made ungodly amount of money. Ungodly amounts.
It's kind of a shame. I do hope that they go back to it at some point, even though it means we're going to have to watch another Croods movie. But I do kind of hope that they go back and really like capitalize off of the success of the first one. It's 2024 going into 2025. You got another 5-year gap in between these movies. I don't know. And from what I read, it doesn't seem like it's in production or even planned at this point.
Yeah, I imagine they're just looking at that bottom line and like, well, we didn't get the return that we thought we were going to get, so that's it.
True.
Series is dead.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. We need the conclusion of Dawn's love interest story. Let's do the casting right now. Who's the actor who's going to come in and play Dawn's love interest?
Oh,
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, who would he have to be? It would have to be somebody,
we had the opposite of the Croods.
Yeah, so it had to be like a bad boy type
guy.
Who would you
Henry
get?
Cavill.
He could do it.
He could do it.
Need somebody with like a good voice, though. I don't know.
What's wrong with Henry Cavill's voice? There's nothing wrong with anything Henry Cavill.
I feel like it's because Peter Dinklage's voice is so distinctly like he's got that deep resonating voice. I feel like Henry Cavill would be too similar to that. So he's like,
Pedro
you almost
Pascal.
have to like, Pedro
Why are
Pascal.
you?
Okay.
Why, like, how
Yeah,
do we
Yes,
not?
Hispanic. We need a
he's-
Hispanic
yeah.
character. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
he's.
Yeah,
It'd be him.
they would. Yep.
This was actually the very final thing that Cloris Leachman ever acted for. And I kind of wonder if that's why they made her character so big in the third act. I don't think that she was supposed to be as big of a part of the story as what it ended up being, but maybe, I don't know. But she was 94 years old when she passed, and she was probably recording this at 93. And sadly, I believe that she ended up passing. She had a stroke as a result of having COVID. So, yeah, but 94 years is a pretty damn good run.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the final quick fact I thought was kind of cool that I didn't really think about is the throughout the film, the Bettermans represent water in contrast to the Croods and their experience with fire. So we have this opposite thing going on where the family all wears these aqua blue rocks around their necks and they wear blue clothing and stuff. The Bettermans residence contains a cave of geysers and all that kind of stuff. Hope gets the Thunder Sister title of bog water. Phil uses water to create his land, which he stole from the Punch Monkeys. Spoilers, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of those
That's
things.
interesting. Sort of like,
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting,
yeah, like the early cavemen mastered fire to thing, and then the next was irrigation and mastering water to cultivate stuff and create civilization. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot more thought than you would expect them to put into
Exactly.
something like this.
It's time for the main event. Here comes the breakdown. Act 1, the setup.
Our film begins with the DreamWorks logo being illuminated by the sloth, Belt, from the first movie, who reminds us of the only thing anyone remembers from that movie by going dun, 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 which is just as funny the 14th time hearing it. Right, guys? It's not too late to change that one. Do something else. Just right out of the gate.
Oh, my God. Yeah, this was like, I was like, fuck, this is going to suck. Thank God it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
We start with a cheery scene of Guy, the teenage genius we met in Croods 1, as a child who's just walked away from his parents, dying slowly in a tar pit. In case you forgot, Guy's parents got stuck in a tar pit and died, since there's no escape once you get stuck in it. But he and Greg made it out of one, no fucking sweat, in like 3 minutes. But, he'd learned from that.
Yeah, he figured it out.
Anyway, we see young...
I wonder if he, it's just like, if I just would have, made a fake cat and had it try to hump another cat, we would have been able to get out of that. My parents would still be alive.
Right. Anyway, we see young helpless Guy remembering that his parents' last words were telling him to always follow the sun until he reaches tomorrow. Then we watch a montage of Guy's journey since then, first with him finding baby Belt, who somehow immediately doesn't say dun 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 the second he finds him. Big thanks to the writers for holding themselves in check. I wonder if the new writers were like, this is stupid. This is dumb. We're not going to do it anymore.
I just figured they would have taken advantage of the baby voice just to make it go dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Or maybe Guy would have said dun 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 when he found it.
Yeah.
Thank God. That's where he learned it from. That's where he does it all the time.
The origin of dun dun dun. Years pass and we see Guy meeting Eep, Emma Stone's character, who was the protagonist of the first film, but this time it's from his perspective. Then we watch Eep narrating, where we recap the first film and show her falling in love with Guy, but we skip the part where Guy gives her mono and kangadillo herpes or whatever diseases they had. Big fluorescent colored half orangutan crabs crawling around in a loincloth. I'm just saying he was out in the wild for a long time and it's a teenage boy. So things happen.
I just imagine those crabs crawling around in the loincloth. But they're half orangutan.
Yeah, they'd be some hybrid. We see the Croods riding their murder cat through the vast world full of made-up plants and animals we were introduced to in the first film before heading into a volcanic canyon full of kangadillos, and Uga tells Grug that she told him not to take the canyon, which is a nice little LA traffic joke.
That's what the kids are looking for.
Guessing the kangadillos are there to even the score after Guy's transgressions.
So you got those kangadillo herpes.
God damn it.
The Croods jump over the title for this one, which crumbles just like in the first movie, and then we see the Croods use their skills to fight off creatures before they're all grabbed by some sort of giant bat mosquitoes. But Eep is too fixated on Guy and the butterflies in her vagina to notice.
God damn it.
She's got butterflies in her insides.
Yep.
Or whatever she says. We see Eep and Guy frolicking through the nightmare world madly in love while Grug gets attacked and injured nonstop in the background before cutting to some time later where Thunk takes a bite out of a monkey koala's ass. I forgot that was the kid from Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
Thunk. I was like, oh yeah.
Clark Duke.
I don't know what else he's done, but that.
The
Hot Tub
Office.
Time Machine 2?
Oh yeah, he was one of the interns in The Office, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the last season.
Yeah.
He was in, I just actually rewatched Superbad, and he's in the background in Superbad for a minute.
I thought that, but I was like, am I just confusing him with Jonah Hill? Because for a time they were the same person.
Pretty much.
Until Jonah Hill got famous.
Yeah.
They decide to camp, and Grug is again disgusted by Guy and Eep's teenage love fest, where the teenagers lightly slap rocks together while saying, hey what? Hey you, as the rest of the family cringes while watching on and slowly starving and freezing to death. Grug says Guy is useless now, and Guy tells him to chill, leading to the cagiest moment of either film so far. And Grug yells,
No, you come on, man! I'm gonna chill you out! Easy.
get a lot more cagey moments in this.
Way more.
Yeah, way more.
Which seems to happen in sequels. If you remember back to National Treasure, it was like no cagey moments in the first movie, and then 50 off the bat in the second one.
Cheerio.
Hello.
Governor.
Hello, Governor.
God.
Uga stops Grug from smashing Guy's skull and tells him that eventually Eep and Guy will leave the family and start their own, which doesn't sit well with him at all. That night in the orgy, the cuddle pile, Guy slithers his way to Eep past Thunk's junk and Grug's grug nuts, where he tells her it would be nice if they had a place of their own without the rest of the pack, while Grug listens to the whole thing. Guy
He
gives...
kisses his hand like in the middle of it.
I was thinking.
That's not my hand.
Guy gives Eep a rock, which I guess was the Paleolithic version of an engagement ring, and Grug is heartbroken at the thought of losing his daughter. Grug takes a walk and stumbles upon a giant wall where he screams,
What the heck is that?
2 cagey moments. And we're like 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. 10 minutes less.
Family wakes up to Thunk's stomach, which vibrates like a silenced phone, before Grug runs out of the trees, prompting the family to make a kill circle, and Graham screams, "Today's a good day to die!" And they smash Grug in the face with a rock, and he tells them, "It's okay, never apologize for an effective kill circle." He leads them all to the wall. When they see it, Belt says, "You fucking know what he says." Goddamn slob. They make a third one of these. It's just going to be called the Croods. Dun, dun, dun. That's what we should call it when the series is finally ended. It's dun, dun, dun. The family seems to think the wall is the end of the world, which prompts Gran to say, "Well, that's it for me." And she climbs into Chunky the parrot cat's mouth, which I thought was great.
Yeah. Glad it's you,
I'm
Chunky.
glad it had to be you. Glad it's you. Grug kicks down the wall, revealing a paradise filled with food and waterfalls and a chocolate river and Oompa Loompas, and Grug plants a leaf flag and proclaims this their new home.
Oh, so glad you made a Willy Wonka reference.
Yeah.
I expected Grug to start singing, "And you'll see a world of pure imagination."
Oh, man, I want to see Cage's Wonka now.
Me too. An old Wonka.
Yeah, that'll be like the Spider-Man noir version of the new Wonka film. They'll put old Timothy Chalamet.
Come here, buddy.
Just like the industrialized hellscape. He's an old washed up man trying to make chocolate and bring happiness to the world that's become increasingly capitalistic. And yeah.
You get
Both
nothing.
of us have unionized.
You get nothing. Good day, man.
Good day, sir.
Anyway, Grug gives a speech about how all their needs will be met here so they can all stay together. But Gran interrupts him saying she's hungry, prompting Grug to scream, "In a minute!"
3 cagey moments.
I think I did a pretty good job with that one.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't expect a colonialism allegory in this movie, but like I said, there was just some. They thought about things a little bit more than you expect them to.
Yeah.
While they all pig out on the bountiful food they found, while the movie turns into a psychedelic acid trip for some reason, and they stuff their faces while their eyes get all big and crooked, and circus music starts playing in the background. And they spin while lights flash on their faces. That's just weird as absolute hell. But maybe it explains the Bettermans a little bit and their behavior.
Yeah. That's why they're hippies. They laced all of this food with LSD.
Yeah. Grug sees some banana and he's stoked since he's only had one banana his entire life. And it was the best thing he's ever had. Was there a callback to the first one where he tries to eat a banana and then gets attacked by all the monkeys? Or did that?
Yeah,
did I make that
think
up?
so.
I thought there was a scene.
right.
I know he gets attacked by all the monkeys, and I thought it was because he was trying to eat a banana, but maybe not.
Oh, I don't remember. I know he sees the monkey and doesn't expect it to punch him in the face.
Maybe
or
that's what
something.
it was, and I was just confusing it. Anyway, if it was, I thought it was an interesting callback.
No.
But no.
It's so weird. Like, it's the only time he talks like a caveman.
He referred
like
it
a
to his
minion.
childhood.
Yeah, I guess.
When he grabs a banana, some chicken seals fall from up above and start screaming, which releases a pulley and springs a Return of the Jedi trap. Like the Ewok traps. Exactly the same.
I think it's a predator every time.
The Croods come face to face with the worst foe they've ever encountered. And no, I'm not talking about the woolly crocodile or saber-toothed grizzly bear or some other fantastical beast. I'm talking about hippies.
Smells like patchouli.
Sandal sporting hippies.
Yeah, well, these sandals sporting douchebags realize the creatures are people, and they release the Croods. They overpronounce a greeting to the cave people, and Grug says, "Thanks." And then they introduce themselves as Phil and Hope Betterman, and they immediately recognize Guy and are overjoyed to see him since they all apparently live next door, or next to Guy's parents when he was a kid. Something, I don't know. Guy's a yuppie. Phil,
They lived in the burbs of
Yeah.
cave world.
Phil explains that when Guy's parents died, it prompted them to find a better way to live, and they reveal a huge tree with several huts built on it. Hope condescendingly tells Eep not to climb the tree and says there's a Betterman way, which is their unofficial motto, as she reveals a bamboo elevator. Phil and Hope are disgusted by the Croods' dog baby, which tracks dirt everywhere and busts through the door of the elevator and probably shits in the corner. Thunk finds a window, and for the rest of the movie, it becomes a recurring joke analogous to teenagers being addicted to TV and iPads, and is literally the only character motivation for Thunk going forward.
I had one complaint about this movie. It's that, like,
Yeah.
and he never really learns to not like watch the window. Like,
Yeah.
even at the very end, he's still looking through a goddamn window. Like, even after he's like, some of like, maybe the window through which I view the world is flawed or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else got some kind of character development, but
Yeah.
Thunk is just a joke the whole time.
I just feel like they didn't know what to do with him. I mean, it's funny. It's a funny joke, but it's like, it's really beaten into the ground.
Yeah. Bill tells Guy that his daughter Dawn will be so happy to see them, and we set up a love triangle that thankfully quickly turns into a friendship between Dawn and Eep rather than the played out trope we've seen 1,000 times before and we're probably all expecting.
Yeah. Nicely done.
Dawn is hiding in the panic cubby, which is an airless hole in a tree branch. And we quickly set up that Dawn has been completely sheltered from the outside nightmare world and has lived her whole life in this walled-in paradise. Dawn and Guy are overjoyed to see each other, and Eep is over the moon to meet another teenage girl for the first time in her life. Dawn reveals that she also has a sloth that she keeps on her at all times named Sash, and the sloths find love at first sight. I guess we needed that. My first reaction when I saw another goddamn sloth was to quote those Chinese fish people in The Phantom Menace, saying, "This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them." Eep spins Dawn in the air, and they turn into typical teenage girls screaming in excitement, which makes the dog baby howl. The Bettermans tell the Croods they're welcome to anything they want, except bananas, which really pisses off Grug since that's the only thing he wants. Phil and Hope are disgusted when the Croods attempt to sleep in a pile and instead show them their own individual cabins, including separate cabins for Grug and Ugga for some reason. Yeah, it's weird.
Separate yet connected.
It's one of my Coppola questions is why would they have so many of these cabins set up already if there's only 3 of them living there?
Yeah, I really thought that there was some kind of darker story going on there with that. Like they were the only ones left for some reason after some kind of disaster.
They killed everybody in the commune.
Yeah, I really felt like it. But no, I mean, they're not great people, but they're not that bad.
Yeah. Could be worse.
Phil says, "We Bettermans believe privacy promotes individuality," while Grug says, "We Croods believe that the pack sticks together, no matter, but the family have all left and gone to their cabins." Thunk asks Phil, "Tell me about my room, Mr. Better Dad," and Grug is left on his own again. Everyone is over the moon to have their own room, except Grug, who can't sleep. It's really sad. He's just like piles furniture onto himself to try and sleep. But he busts through his wall into Ugga's room, and Ugga tries to convince Grug that they should all stay in this new paradise, and he agrees to give it a chance, showing that his character growth from the first movie is still intact, which I liked. They didn't just hard reset everything like they do in a lot of these sequels.
Yeah.
One of the things I appreciated about it. Phil and Hope chat while cleaning up after the Croods about Dawn finally having a mate in Guy, and they shit talk the Croods about how uncivilized they all are while probably scooping up Grug's turds in the living room. They say Eep and the Croods don't fit in, and we see them concoct a plan to get the Croods to leave the walled-in paradise without Guy.
This is where the movie had me at this point, you know. Like, I was not into it going into it because I didn't know anything about this movie, but like this was the point where the movie was like, all right, I'm in. Okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it was like, okay, well, there's clearly some more competent writing going on with this one. You know, it's not reinventing the wheel, but it's doing a decent enough job with expanding and putting these characters in a situation that's new.
Yeah.
Act 2. It's about time we had some conflict, wouldn't you say?
The next morning, Guy wakes up to the douchemans offering him some fresh bitter bean juice and a new pair of flip-flops. He tries to stop by Eep's room, but the Bettermans push him towards Dawn, and they all walk in their sandals in unison, and their blue rock necklaces shake around until you just want to take a ball-peen hammer to their heads. This one was like particularly like, I think it was like to get the audience to hate them. But, you know, also see, I don't know, they're quirky and fun, but they're also like douches.
Yeah.
Dawn leads Guy around the property, showing him all the genius inventions they created to make their life as easy as possible. The Bettermans are stoked that they turned Guy into one of them, and next we see him take a shower before Eep sees him with straight hair and a top knot, wearing the same dumbass hippie clothes that the Bettermans wear. He's been indouchenated.
I love that they give him a man bun.
Yeah. Yeah, I love like as the third act rolls on and he like starts to become himself again, that hair just slowly unravels. Eep and Grug are disgusted by pretty boy Guy, who smells like a tampon commercial, and Grug pulls Thunk away from the window before it rots his brain, which was basically already tapioca at that point. Eep gets excited to start a flirty fire with Guy, like we saw in the first act, but he instead uses some sort of giant match invention that the Bettermans created instead. Eep is heartbroken at her boyfriend not wanting to start a fire with her. You know what I mean? Because he's turned into a giant twat. So she sulks at the top of a tree. Dawn joins her, and she loves how different and adventurous Eep is. Immediately, she's like over the moon to meet a adventurous, I don't know, a teenage girl who actually like has done things and gone out and done stuff.
Yeah,
but
we did include Kelly Marie Tran in the starring.
No,
in the cast.
Yeah. I feel like I had to limit it at a certain amount, but there's only like 8 people in this thing. But that's of course Rose from the new Star Wars movies, who got the shit end of the stick.
Yeah, we left her out and forgot about her, just like J.J. Abrams did in the third movie.
It's true. It's true. She's great in this movie. I mean, I feel like she's great in everything I've seen her in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just really fucked her character growth up in that third movie, as they did with everybody's. I hate those movies so much. such failed opportunities. Dawn asks about all of Eep's scars from the many horrifying near-death experiences she's had over the years, and Eep realizes Dawn has never been outside of this walled-in paradise. Also, we find out that Eep is missing a toe that she replaced with a peanut shell. This reminded me, I know it's a kid's movie, but this really reminded me of the scene in Chasing Amy where they're comparing their scars from different times they've gone down on girls.
Oh, God damn it.
This time she was pushing me. Yeah. Pulled my neck out. Eep compares Dawn's situation to hers from the first movie, where she wasn't allowed to go outside of the cave. So she takes Dawn on an adventure. She's kind of like the rebellious boyfriend all of a sudden with the motorcycle. Mm-hmm. They hop on Chunky the Mecanivore. All right. And Eep starts jumping shit like it's a dirt bike before climbing over the wall and away from the safety of the farm. You see that whatever creature over there? Want to jump it? I love that.
Yeah.
Dawn feels alive for the first time thanks to her butch new girlfriend, while a guy enlists the sloths to flush some fruit down a toilet while Hope watches on in horror. She gives Guy a photo album of the Bettermans and Guy's family drawn on some leaves or something, while Belt gets flushed down the toilet like a dunt deuce. Phil interrupts Grug trying to get Thunk to stop looking at the window for 5 seconds, while Phil rides in on a giant cross-eyed otter narwhal or something. It really went over the top with the crazy animals on this one.
I'm glad they leaned into it, though. Just lean into this unrealistic universe.
It's the chimera creatures. Phil asks Grug.
Wet dream.
Yeah. Yeah, if Lovecraft could make an animated movie nowadays, I wonder if it would look like this. Or it would just be a big racist parable.
Probably scared of animated movies, so he wouldn't want to touch them. Fucking terrified of everything.
Phil asks Grug if he wants to go for a ride on his otter, which sounds way more sexy than it actually is. And while Grug holds Phil by the waist, Phil explains that the farm used to be a wasteland, but he diverted the water from a huge waterfall nearby to create this little paradise.
Another LA joke.
Shot of him like holding his waist.
Yeah.
Grug tunes this douche out before reaching for a banana, and Phil slaps him like a bitch. Like smacks him like a woman. I don't know.
Yeah.
Give him a quick schmack.
Jesus.
So you have the last word.
50 no's and a yes
Grug is
still
again
a yes.
confused as to why he can't have any of the bananas after spotting a giant shell full of them next to the wall. Phil asks Grug if he wants to see something really cool, and we see them go into a steam room behind a waterfall. Next, Phil asks if Grug has ever, thought about touching another man's Wait. Sorry. That was a daydream that I had about Nigel, Vince, and I in a hot tub. Sorry.
Tell me, Grog, you ever been to a Turkish prison?
Uga cleans up the mess the family made when they ate a metric ton of the Betterman's food in that LSD fever dream that we saw from the day before. Hope shows up with a passive-aggressive gift basket and tries to talk Uga into leaving back into the wild. But Uga loves this new paradise. Just again with these names. Uga, thunk, Grug. Hope tells Uga the basket is for the road, and the least that they could do for the Croods bringing Guy back home. Uga can't believe the nerve of this cunt and angrily chucks the basket over the wall. Which she does with everything. She throws all the food over the wall.
Yeah.
They have a compost basket and she throws that over the wall. We cut to Dawn and Eep riding through the infrared wacky world beyond the wall, which is all sorts of magical, until they slam into a hive of some sort and Dawn gets a bee stinger through her hand that would put the nails used to crucify Jesus to shame.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Dawn's hand swells up like a balloon, but she's super excited to finally have a scar of her own. I mean, if only Phil would have just put cigarettes out on her arm when she was a kid, she wouldn't have felt so sheltered. Am I right?
Oh my God.
She'd have all sorts of scars. Like the rest of us, Back in the steam room, Phil and Grug get half naked for some ass to mouth. I mean, for heart to heart, where Phil explains that he comes here to be alone and away from the family.
And watch gladiator movies.
And he offers Grug some shark milk. I mean, shark milk, I think. That's what it was. It sounded like shark milk. Want some shark milk? Phil asks Grug if he's feeling relaxed, comfortable, susceptible to suggestion. I mean, I was kidding about the experimenting with other guys stuff, but it feels like that's where we're headed. It sort of paints that later on in the film, too.
There's some weird undertones.
Some undertones going on.
Yeah, just reminds me of that time with my wrestling coach back in middle school.
Hot and sweaty in the steam room.
We've all been there.
In the locker room after practice. We're the only two left. Except I was the one pressuring him.
Go ahead. Just get cleaned up. Yeah, that's you talking to him. Just get cleaned up, coach. Grug keeps complaining that it's hot, while Phil keeps telling Grug to open up to him while getting uncomfortably close while a bunch of really phallic-looking geysers spurt mist into the cave. I am fully Homo erectus right now, guys. Eventually, after another fever dream type moment where it keeps cutting back and forth and then close-ups on Phil and Grug's penis and I don't know. It's really
Was it supposed to be like he drugged the shark milk or something? Or?
I don't know.
It's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you give him ayahuasca instead of called it shark milk.
Yeah. Grug screams, "I don't like it here, all right. My pack's all split up. There's no one to sleep pile with, and you won't let me eat a banana. Guy gave Eep a rock. He kissed my hand. They're planning on leaving the pack, and I don't like you at all." I love that.
Feels like, well, why didn't you just say you wanted to eat a banana? I mean,
I got a big one right here.
I don't call this the man cave for nothing.
Phil manipulates Grug into saying the Croods would be better off without Guy, and next we see Grug excitedly run to tell Uga that he had the best time with Phil deep inside his man cave. And we see Grug has the same douche haircut and rock necklace as the others and like a back brace to make him not hunched over.
And the
sandals, the whole lot.
Yeah.
Uga is disgusted by her husband's new look and tells him the Bettermans are trying to get them to leave without Guy, which would destroy Eep, which I think Grug didn't really consider that up until that point, that he would break his daughter's heart. Uga says the Bettermans think they're so stupid that they trade Guy for a fruit basket, and we watch Grug push a fruit basket out of the room. I love that little detail. Just like a second-long joke of him pushing it out. Grug realizes both Hope and Phil have been gaslighting the Croods, and Grug gets so mad that his head grows a Neanderthal brow, and he breaks the back brace that he was wearing so he wouldn't be hunched over. Yeah, it gets really weird. They do some weird like face stuff in this with the Croods especially. Like they turn back into Neanderthals several times in really kind of unsettling moments, body horror type moments. We see Guy looking through the photo album of like crudely drawn outlines of people, like silhouettes of people.
Just stick figures.
Yeah, with a belt, and he catches Dawn, Eep, and Chunky sneaking back from beyond the wall. Like, I understand why Dawn is kind of drunk in this moment, but why is Chunky acting the way that he is? Because he's like passed out. Like
I think he's just tired because they've been running.
I took it he was tired, and then I also was wondering if maybe the implication is that honey was fermented, and so
that's what I thought it
like
was.
Some kind of alcohol.
Through the first time, I thought maybe they were drunk from that fermenting, but she specifically says that she's acting weird because of the bee venom. Which
because
he's upset when he sees Dawn drunk on bee venom, I guess. And to find out, Eep took Dawn out for a joyride without the Betterman's permission. It's like he's become the parent all of a sudden. He's the dad figure. Guy is shocked at Dawn's balloon hand and scolds his girlfriend for being impulsive and putting Dawn in harm's way. Eep is confused since Guy usually likes adventures, but he says things are different now, and then he calls Eep a cave girl. Might have well just have called her a troglodyte. Wait, no, that's what a troglodyte is.
Troglodyte.
Eep crawls up the tree after a Guy while making noises like Gollum for some reason.
I'll give him a cave girl.
That was weird. I don't know. She turns back into a cave person at that point, I guess. Same as her parents. At dinner, Thunk eats a flower arrangement, which disgusts Hope again, who has just gone full insufferable bitch at this point in the movie. Uga and Grug say they're not hungry, while Guy tries to get Dawn to the table without causing any suspicion. Well, she's like drunkenly passing out, and I don't know. Should have just taken her to her cabin or whatever. Eep crawls in through a window and yells at Guy for calling her a cave girl while she eats and drinks like the dirty troglodyte she is. She's just like doing that mead pitcher thing, like drinking it, or like the moonshine drink. Phil asks Grug to tell everyone about his great idea of leaving the farm without Guy, and Grug screams that Phil tricked him into saying it after slathering him in essential oils and feeding him shark milk and Diddy's Cave or whatever. Hope is upset to hear Phil has a cave he goes to escape his family, and Dawn reveals her swollen hand while pointing at them for trying to fix her up with Guy. Phil and Hope are mortified to find out Dawn went outside the wall and say it's all the Croods' fault. The wives both yell at their husbands. Gran reveals that she has a rodent of some sort for hair. And the baby chases it on the table while everything just devolves into madness until Grug slams his fists on the table and says, "Come on, Guy, we're leaving." Guy is mad that Grug wanted him gone and now suddenly wants him back, while Grug says Guy was trying to take his daughter away. Guy tries to get Eep to agree that life is better on this hippie commune, but Eep is upset that Guy hates her way of life and says she doesn't even know who he is anymore with his douchey hair, his neck rock, and his non-stench, I guess. He smells like vanilla and like a tampon commercial. Guy, do you douche? Guy says this is the tomorrow that he's been searching for his whole life and that it's his new home. Eep says she clearly doesn't belong and asks him to come along with her when she leaves, but he says he can't. She gives him back his engagement rock and runs away while Phil fills the awkward silence by asking who wants dessert. Grug answers by saying, "I told you we're not hungry," and throws a banana peel on the table. Then he tells Phil that he and Ugga ate every single banana on the entire farm. He's like, "That's not possible." Well, it is for cave people. Phil freaks out and runs to see the shell we saw earlier full of banana peels instead of full bananas. Guy finds Phil crying with Grug watching the little beta cuck sobbing. And if Guy's parents were anything like the Bettermans, I can see why they died so easily in that tar pit.
Do you hit him? No. I thought about it.
I like that.
That was great.
Act 3, The Resolution.
Phil says the bananas were the key to their survival and were the only thing keeping them safe. Suddenly, we see the trees beyond the wall rustling, and Phil says something has come for the bananas for 100 moons or more, and bananas are the only thing that keeps it at bay. Suddenly, the wall splits open as Phil screams in terror, and when the dust settles, we see one little monkey on the ground. Grug laughs his ass off while Phil looks on embarrassed, but of course it turns out to be thousands of punch monkeys who run at the trio before taking them off into the darkness.
Something about that laugh he did was so... It was so good. It felt so genuine.
Yeah.
It felt like Cage cracking up. It was great.
Wait, let me understand something. You had no idea you were working for an itty bitty monkey?
His acting on the whole was great in this one.
Yeah, I would say this is the first time we really felt a character out of Grug.
Yep.
Whereas in the first movie, it just kind of felt like Cage. But
I don't know what
really feels like
happened,
a character.
But it did. Maybe
Probably
it was his
better
directors
directing.
again. Yeah, we'll talk about it, I guess, when we get to ratings.
Dunk comes back from dinner to see the wall destroyed through his window TV, and he alerts Hope, a.k.a. Mrs. Better Mom. Also love that joke that he keeps calling them Better Mom and Better Dad. She and the rest of the women, Sloss and Thunk, enlist the help of their dog baby, who has the nose of a bloodhound. This kid is going to grow up to be one of the side characters from Road Warrior, I'm pretty sure.
It reminds me of that baby or that kid. Just like, throws the boomerang blade into somebody's head. That's what the baby's going to do in the third movie.
And then
throw a boomerang into somebody's head. That's something I wish somebody would do someday, is like take a kids movie and make a really dark sequel to it. It's like R-rated. It's so confusing to the parents, but it'd be so awesome,
dude. That'd be hilarious. I just R-rated Rugrats.
Yeah.
Hope tries to hide with Dawn in the panic cubby thing we saw earlier, but Dawn insists on joining the Croods on the hunt, much to her mom's terror, but they both follow after the rest. We cut to Grug, Guy, and Phil all trapped in a log being passed along by the punch monkeys, while Guy talks to himself about how complicated girls are. We cut to Eep doing the same thing on the tusk of Chunky, the macawnivore. Liger, I don't know.
It's a macaw cat.
Yeah, he's half macaw, half carnivore.
Yeah.
Macawnivore.
She's writing on a tablet about how much of a douche Guy has become, and they both separately but in split screen conclude their relationship is over. Dawn tries to make Eep feel better, and Gran pops in to tell him that in her day they didn't have boy problems, since they were a warrior clan of naked women that called themselves the Thunder Sisters, which for some reason becomes the entire premise of the rest of the movie. We were a group of naked warriors. Okay.
So how did she have a kid?
Yeah. Well,
maybe that would have been an original.
Never mind.
This prequel movie. The Thunder Sisters.
You see Gran getting smashed and
Yeah.
some caveman. Things were different back in my day. And just see him pulling her into the cave by her foot.
Oh, fuck. Helga and Hope argue over whether they should cross a bridge filled with land sharks, and Hope steers the murder cat off the edge into the river. We cut to the men arriving at the Punch Monkey compound, where they fall to the bottom of a pit, and Greg screams,
Come on, punch monkeys! Let's get this on!
in a very cagey manner. I can't do it justice. Before he gets the absolute shit beaten out of him by like 30 different variants of monkeys with different punch, kick, and headbutt abilities. And a dude with weird eyes.
I like the way he says it. Like, his emphasis on dude is so cagey.
Suddenly, the David Koresh of this compound reveals himself to be a blind old monkey, and a guy reluctantly says he's fluent in Punch Monkey. What a coincidence, me too. But more like in Spank Monkey, if you know what I mean.
I think we're all pretty fluent in
Yeah.
Spank Monkey.
It's like,
Oh, fuck.
you know, American Sign
Guy in the
Language.
old...
Use your hands a lot.
That's the only language I'm fluent in. Guy and the old blind monkey communicate by slapping each other in the face for the next few minutes, and it's revealed that their home was a paradise, but someone diverted the water away, which caused all the bananas to die, and now they're no longer able to feed some giant evil monster from killing them since it took their bananas as payment. Phil tries to solve the problem by telling the monkeys to divert water, but he quickly realizes that he was the one who ruined their lush paradise, while Guy is translating what he's saying, which causes the monkeys to freak out. Phil tries to get them out of the situation by sharpening a stick, but he just inadvertently teaches the monkeys how to do it, making things worse than they already were.
I love this joke because it's like he teaches them to sharpen the stick, and then he teaches them to make fire, and then they like mention that he taught them how to make their knots better.
Knots, yeah.
The knots were atrocious. Oh, fuck.
Peter Dinklage is amazing in this.
Yeah, he crushed it. He brought so much life to that character.
Yeah. So is Leslie Mann. Like, I feel like
Oh, yeah.
she's
she was
so
awesome.
good at playing that like kind of stuck up bitch,
Yeah.
but also lovable at the same time.
And comedic. Yeah.
Yeah.
The women in One Note Thunk, whose entire character motivation is trying to look through windows and sticks in the shape of squares since it resembles a window, make their way to some weird ass frozen ice world where ice trees just instantly grow out of the ground. Kids, they're so hopelessly addicted to technology that their parent gave them. It's so true.
It's like it's a joke, but it's like you're the reason they're addicted to technology. You get that, right?
Yeah.
They didn't, buy themselves an iPad.
No. I remember in the good old days when we used to look through actual windows instead of virtual windows. Gran again starts screaming about how she used to be the matriarch of a tribe of warrior women, and then reveals that her hair is some sort of red-nosed flying weasel that caused like a crow and a hawk for some reason. Wiggis flies off her head to go track the men, and Hope loses it since she's surrounded by freaks.
This was my wife's favorite joke in the whole movie was Wiggis's. She really wants one now. Like a plush of Wiggis's, which they don't make apparently. Yeah.
That's nuts.
shocker.
I think they would.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Hope yells at them all individually, calling Thunk a peeping Tom and Sandy a stupid rat baby before screaming at Eep for giving her daughter scars and stupid ideas. Hope tries to run away from the cave people towards home, but she slips into a cave where she gets trapped in an ice geyser tree thing and then nearly eaten by a spider dog because, why not? You remember these are weird ass animals in this world, so just ramp it up, baby. The Croods come to her rescue, and a handful of these wolf spiders surround them. But Dawn notices a puppy dog spider cowering in fear, and she tells them all to lower their weapons. Then she says that the dog spider isn't a monster, but rather a mom who's scared for her baby's safety. So obviously comparing the horrifying nightmare chimera the movie invented to her mom. Which I think is pretty accurate.
They just tried to make them cute, but they're like fucking spiders. I don't know.
They're fucking spider dogs.
Wolf
Spider
spiders.
wolves.
Creepy.
Terrifying. Dawn goes on to say the Bettermans and the Outsiders are friends, and they should live in harmony together forever. Thunk goes and pets the wolf spiders after making 20 more window jokes, but unfortunately they don't eat them.
They're petting me back with their teeth. Did that joke.
We see a dream sequence where Guy imagines Eep as a giant, and he wakes up when she crushes him with their engagement rock thing. He finds himself in some sort of rib cage jail, and Phil again tries to use his superior intellect to scare the punch monkeys, this time with fire. And again, he just inadvertently teaches them how to make fire of their own.
As I say, he's the 2001 obelisk monolith for these monkeys.
Yeah. The weird ass granny hair creature finds the trio in the jail and heads back to alert the women, but is struck by lightning and falls out of the sky. Uga finds Eep punching down trees and kicking 500-pound boulders around with her bare feet. Probably how she lost her toe. Uga asks what's wrong, and Eep breaks down over Guy choosing the Bettermans over her. And Uga says Guy is worth fighting for if she really loves him. We cut to Hope freezing after being thawed from the ice tree thing. And Dawn asks why she doesn't join the sleep pile. Graham pulls
I have
Hope
a shawl. I'm fine.
Blows away. I'll just keep warm with the fruit basket.
Oh, damn it.
Graham pulls Hope into the pile with her cane, and Hope is horrified at first, but quickly realizes it's better than freezing to death. So she apologizes to Uga and Eep for being a bitch all this time.
Obviously, your baby's not a rat. Who says that? Nice little like coming to terms, at least for her. It takes a long time for Phil to stop being an asshole.
Yeah. We cut to Grug and Phil in Punch Monkey Thunderdome before revealing Guy's David Koresh's monkey's new Princess Leia, which was sexy.
He's even like laying like Leia,
He's like, I got a job now. It's a sex slave.
I got a thing going. Good thing going
Don't
on.
mess it up.
Phil again is a douche, saying the monkey
David
should
Koresh
take...
monkey is good to me. He gives me shark milk and everything.
Phil is again a douche, saying the monkey should take Grug as their slave, and then he and Grug smack each other around for a bit before Guy breaks it up. He tells them they're gonna mess everything up like they did with his relationship with Eep, prompting Phil to say, "Please understand, Guy, it's Grug's fault," which makes Grug tackle him. And then they fight till they're in their underwear for some reason. It's just a lot of semi-homoerotic undertones in this film for some reason.
But the only thing that's semi.
They call each other bad fathers, then pass out, and then they wake up to Guy in a banana costume where he says they're going to be sacrificed to the monster so the punch monkeys don't die. Gran's hair creature returns, partially burnt, and tells the old lady where the men are.
I kind of glossed over it, but it's like they learn that words can hurt as much as punching each other.
That's
and
how
then Guy realizes that his words hurt Eep. So I don't know, like he didn't realize that at all before.
Yeah. Eep says, "What would the Thunder Sisters do?" And Graham rips off her clothes, revealing a six-pack, and she puts face paint on all of the other women, giving them new tribe names. Oh, also Hope's hair is like all puffy now since it got wet. It's all froed out.
I thought they were going to use
like-
it to fly like they did in the first movie.
Yeah, I thought so
They
too.
were
Yeah.
flying with the whatever those flying batfish things were, whatever they were. That they were gonna, her hair was going to catch the wind and fly him over to the castle.
Sandy is Seeker, Eep is Fireheart, Uga, Bloodhorn, Thunk is just Thunk, Dawn is Sister Sunset, and Hope is Bogwater. Then Eep and Dawn say, Thunder Sisters, like 14 times, and they all charge towards where Guy, Grug, and Phil are being held on the backs of the dog spiders and the mecanivore. All right. Even on acid, I don't think I could come up with this shit. It's like, this is fucking weird.
Like, nice 80s metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like those old 80 metal comics.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of like a heavy metal comic.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot of those. So, yeah, it was definitely like they were inspired, those fantasy comics.
Yeah.
Warrior women.
Like that episode of South Park, the cat piss one.
Yeah.
Heavy metal.
We see the men in banana costumes waiting to be sacrificed, and Grug apologizes for eating all the bananas. Guy says he wishes he would have been able to see Eep one last time, calling her his first and only love. Phil tells Guy that his parents loved him very much, and all they wanted was for him to find happiness. So Eep is his tomorrow that he's been searching for his whole life. Grug says he'd be proud to have Guy as his son, and Phil says he and Grug aren't so different since they're both profoundly foolish fathers obsessed with bananas. Just your typical closeted suburban dads. The giant monster reveals itself to be some sort of porcupine baboon. And just before it can eat the men, the Thunder Sisters show up to save the day, complete with their new names on the screen. The Punch Monkeys charge them, but the sisters kick their asses in slow-mo, accompanied by some 80s hair metal blaring behind the fight. It's pretty hard.
It's pretty horrifying to think that there are giant monsters walking around in this world. Like, especially like at the end when they decide to knock all the walls down so they're open to the world. That seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah. The monster puts the men in its mouth, but Owigasis flies into its nose, causing the creature to sneeze, sending the men flying. The wolf spiders shoot webs out of their dog asses to grab the men, and they run as a giant baboon porcupine chases them, destroying the Punch Monkey's home in the process, which is a scene directly ripped off from Fast Five when they're racing through the streets of Brazil with the safe attached to the back of those Chargers. See, look, every film draws from great cinema.
Yeah, the pinnacle of
The pinnacle of
Yeah, man, if you're
cinema.
going to steal from the best.
Dom Toretto comes out and says, family. Phil and Greg
That's who will play Don's boyfriend in
yeah,
this Eagle.
that's right.
Vin
Yeah.
Diesel.
Vin Diesel shows up.
We got it.
Let's write it right now.
Let's try it. Phil and Grug get tossed out of the bowl they are in and out of their banana suits, where Grug says, the pack stays together, bro. And he and Phil hug each other while Mr. Strange by Boy George plays for some reason, and they call each other Banana Bros. And Grug spins Phil in the air like in Dirty Dancing. Guess they're insinuating there will be a lot of steam baths in the man cave in their future.
Yeah, sure seems like it.
Eep leads the monsters to some sort of bone cave, and we see the rest of the group safe outside aside from Eep and Guy. Guy saves Eep from being crushed, and they scramble to a skull or something suspended in the air while the creature tries to get them from below. Guy tells Eep that he spent his whole life searching for a place called Tomorrow, but she's his tomorrow, and he gives her back the rock. Going back to the rock, boys. The ape thing almost gets them, but the Bettermans and Croods show up to chuck rocks at its head until Thunk throws a rock that spins a stick into the monster's eye, which is a recurring joke.
Yeah, it happens like 3 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of glossed over.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. The creature starts trying to kill them instead of Eep and Guy, so they use the stone around Guy's neck combined with the engagement rock to start a fire, which burns the vines holding the skull, which then drops down onto the monkey porcupine thing, which causes it to fall into a giant hole in the ground. And of course, because it's the Croods, they can't just have a simple ending. They got to have like false endings. The monkey comes back for one last scare and nearly pulls Eep into the abyss, but the creature mistakenly holds on to her by her peanut toe. So she just pops it off and it falls to its death.
that you
Not
smoke
really sure
its
how I-
ruin across the mountainside.
I'm not really sure how a 30-foot tall, thousands of pound creature was supposed to be supported by a peanut shell for even that small second, but whatever. Don't think about that, folks. We cut
By
to the
the way,
Croods and
just so the kids know, just knocking two random rocks together will not create a fire.
I mean, they'll find it out when they try it, and it doesn't work. Every kid tries it.
Yeah.
yeah, it just breaks the rocks. At least from my experience, it just cracks them and splits them. But no,
Just
cut to
breaks the
Croods and-
skull of the cat I was hitting them on, and as a child, you know.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Fluffy. Sorry. I still haven't forgiven myself for that.
Oh, God damn it. All right. We cut to the Croods and Bettermans returning to the farm, and we see that the punch monkeys moved in next door, have all they need now, and are best buds with Phil and Grug. We see Eep and Guy leaving the pack to start their own, but it turns out they're just like moving into a hut across the bridge. It's like 10 feet away. But this still makes Grug a blubbering mess.
Like Phil is fluent in Punch Monkey and he chats with him, but then Grug is getting punched in the face over and over again.
Come again.
Again.
And my
Come
favorite
again.
joke was when Phil and he's like then Phil and Grug are punching each other. It's just like rock, 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 rock.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on, it comes back when they're fighting.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Sash saying dun 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 while giving Belt a rock with a heart on it. Gran wearing a new creature on her head. Another thunk window iPad joke. Because we got to beat that into the ground. And finally, Phil and Grug bringing some Bronana bread to the table.
Bronana bread.
We see the wolf spiders and Chunky and all of the creatures living happily in their new paradise. And everything is right with the world before cutting to Wigasis flying into the camera. Next, we get a 7.5 minute long credit sequence showing how happy everyone is in this new polygamous cult retreat. While Jack Black sings, I Think I Love You.
Yeah, that was weird.
So weird.
Why get Jack Black just for the credits? Why not have
I don't
them
know.
singing early in the... I guess they had to have the Partridge
well-
Family version earlier in the movie, and then the
Jack Black will be Vin Diesel's dad in the sequel.
I guess when you work with him on Kung Fu Panda, you can get him to do
That's true.
covers.
He's probably friends with Mark Mothersbaugh.
I feel like it was also something that just happened because of the pandemic and he had time
Could
to
be.
work on music.
Yeah,
and
he did a
stuff.
lot of that stuff. He
Yeah.
did a lot of like YouTube recordings and stuff. So yeah,
They're just wondering what the secret ingredient of Bronana bread is after they go into their steam cave.
Semen.
yeah. I mean, you could substitute bananas for eggs when you're making vegan food because of the protein in it. So maybe you could substitute eggs for protein.
Protein. You know, after finishing the Croods saga, I was kind of sad to leave the world of cavemen behind. Without Grug and Guy and Belt, who's gonna Oonga my Boonga now? Luckily, I remembered there are plenty of other cave people films out there, and many of them are available on Loved Again Media. Why not set up a subscription box to receive 10 of the latest and greatest in the oddly specific genre of caveman films for just $19.99 a month, as well as classics like Caveman starring Ringo Starr from the Beatles? Yeah, that actually exists. Or 1 Million BC starring the gorgeous Raquel Welch. Head over to lovedagainmedia.com to get an extra 15% off their already super low prices by entering our promo code ONECAGE at checkout and stock up on all the caveman goodness you could ever dream of.
We have a couple of questions before we move on.
A couple of questions here. Why we asked this in the moment, but like, why are there so many cabins in the tree if nobody else lives there?
Maybe they always wanted people to move in, so they prepared. I guess.
Yeah, maybe
that's
they were
what I
planning it
thought.
to be a safe haven for people to come there, but they sure seem to want to get rid of the Croods.
Yeah, but they wanted to
But-
keep Guy for Dawn,
Yeah.
so they're
Well,
not
they
averse to people coming in.
Yeah, they say that they thought all the cave people died off. So I took it as they had built this utopia hoping that the rest of the evolved humans would come and populate. Because they still stuck with that theme of like, okay, now you're moving away from like survival, Stone Age to now creating civilization. So this would be the first society
Yeah.
created.
Yeah, that makes sense. What the hell was with that scene of them all eating while the movie turned into an acid trip? Is it just to show that they'd like lose all control and they have
I
access
think it
to
was it
food?
was to show that what euphoria they were in and like
Yeah.
eating all this stuff. It was the best thing they'd ever tasted in their life because they
Yeah.
eat like monkey ass and stuff on the regular.
Yeah, just a funny colorful moment for kids. That's what I took.
Yeah,
it as.
honestly, I didn't think too much of it because at that point I had brought Owen out from his nap and he was watching it like he was transfixed on it. So I'm like, it's just bright colors because kids
Yeah,
like watching
for kids,
bright
yeah.
colors on screen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's why it reminded me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was
Yep.
like because of the boat ride where everything
Yep.
just goes psychedelic for no real reason.
yeah.
There is no way of knowing. Yeah, that's like terrifying. That moment.
That part is so jarring from the whole rest of that film. Why?
That and you get nothing. Good day, sir.
Yeah.
Not sure why I'm bothering to ask this, but why was there one area that was all ice when everything else was like lush and tropical? And what the hell was with the insta-freeze ice geyser things? It was so weird.
Then they're like frozen, like the patterns, like when lightning hits sand. It was like that fractal lightning pattern. It was really weird. I don't know.
I just
They
don't ask
did-
questions
They
about
just
the
do, yeah.
planet.
Honestly, I didn't even think of it. It was just like, they're just doing cool stuff that looks
Yeah.
interesting.
I like
Yeah.
that they leaned into the fact that this is Earth, but it's not our Earth. And so they just lean
Yeah.
into the craziness instead of trying to like mesh them together like the first film. So when it came to the world, there's no fucking questions. It's a magical, mythical world. Just leaving it at that.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is that way. Like the size of the fruit, the color of the fruit, everything is just completely weird
Porcupine,
in this
baboons.
version.
giant blue strawberries.
Because most of this could be explained away just by that. But it's different writers this time around, but they kept that theme going.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
kept that world.
And, like Nigel was saying, like, didn't throw away the character development and the world development that we got in the
Thank
first
God.
movie.
Yeah.
Thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that when they just reset
I thought
the
they
whole
were going to
world.
do it with how upset he was that guy was like, trying to take away Eep or whatever. And I was just like, oh my God, we're going to have to go through all the same thing over again. But he wasn't. The whole time he actually wanted Guy to stay part of the family. He was just annoyed by,
He just didn't want
their
them to
schmoozing
go
thing. And
away
he
with
didn't
him.
want him to
Yeah.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, keep
And they
them
actually
all
fight
together.
to keep Guy. Like he's upset when they find out that the Bettermans want them to
Yeah.
leave Guy there. And
Yeah.
so it was nice that they kept that character development from it. Like he's part of the pack. So, he's annoyed at him because it's your daughter's boyfriend, but
Yeah.
he's still part of the
But he
family.
still loves him. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of, we sort of asked this, but like, wouldn't taking down all of the walls to the farm just lead to their imminent deaths, given all of the horrors that we've seen outside of the walls? Like,
I guess it's symbolism. They're taking
Yeah.
their walls down.
And the monkeys move in right next door, and they party
maybe
all
the
the
monkeys
time.
surround it.
Yeah, like they're there,
First
to-
line.
Guess they're there
defense.
to protect them. They're their bodyguards.
they kind of work together, and yeah, that's what I would imagine.
They sort of showed that at the end of like all the animals live there with them peacefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think it ends with talking about their family got a whole lot bigger because now they've got
Yeah.
all these other animals and pets and family members. So yeah, I think that's just an allegory for society. Like you said, that was one of their original threads. So maybe that part kind of lived on in it.
Yeah.
and then my final question is, how long before Dawn resigns herself to banging Thunk? He's the only other boy. He's like a teenage boy. And she's like, I guess. All right.
We all make mistakes as teenagers.
Yeah, just get the V venom. Sometimes the B venom hits just right, and you do things that you wouldn't normally do when your inhibitions were intact.
Come look at my window, Thunk.
He just walks
Thunk,
into
you want to
his,
jump it?
he just walks into his hut. She's just got a frame in between her legs.
Look at this. You ever seen anything like this before?
Do you want to explore my man cave?
You want to jump it? Other questions?
The only one I had was was I imagining things that there was like an awful lot of homoerotic undertones to this movie for some reason?
100%, dude.
I don't really know.
They were going for like the bro thing, but
not just that, because they talk about like Gran was saying, we didn't used to deal with boys. We lived in a tribe of women, and then they all turned into Thunder Sisters at the end, and it's like,
yep. And then the Eep and Dawn relationship is
it's like a boyfriend girlfriend thing, and definitely with Grug and Phil, like steamy
Hardcore.
Persuasion, and then them getting naked and sweaty while fighting each other. It was, I don't understand what they were going for with why that was in the movie so much.
I don't know. I feel like they were trying to because I feel like the bro relationship thing was like really in the zeitgeist for a minute there, thanks to all those Apatow movies, like almost like a homoerotic friendship, but like you love each other, but obviously you're not like in a relationship together, but you love each other. So I think that's what they were trying to lean into, but made
specifically with Grug and Phil, it was like these visual cues of them like being very physical. And
I definitely noticed that throughout.
I thought it was normal until they started doing the windmill. That's when I was like, okay, this is a little homoerotic.
Yeah, it was like during the fight where all their clothes get ripped off, I was just like, oh, right. It was funny in the cave and was like just making a joke of it, but then all of a sudden,
now like this is
they're like
director's
really trying
fetish
to go
or
for this.
something.
Yeah.
You're
making it into the movie.
Clothes off. Now they're all sweaty.
You're such a bad daddy.
You're a bad daddy.
You're bad fathers. Yeah, obsessed with bananas.
Damn, that too. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like he's
I don't know, man.
Maybe we're reading too much into it, but I don't know. It just feels like there was they were laying that on
weird.
there.
They definitely were.
Weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just supposed to be funny for the adults watching, I guess, and kids are never going to pick up on it, but who knows?
But maybe they will. I don't know.
It's time to keep track. Here are the final stats.
That leads us over to the Cage Curse Tracker.
Oh, yeah, let me pull up my notes here. Let's see. It was pretty. Oh, yeah, there was only one. When they're in the sauna and he calls Phil a cocksucker, it was really weird. He just comes up and he's like, and I don't like you cocksucker. No, there's not. There's zero curses in this one.
That would have been awesome.
Another PG movie.
Yeah.
So this is like the last of the current existing animated movies. We said we were probably going to have a streak all the way through, with the exception of G-Force. So yeah, there was no curses in this one from anybody. I think heck was the strongest language that anybody had. Mm-hmm. So
what the heck is that?
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's our total. Still 718.
Finally get to add to it next episode. Mm-hmm. And then all of next season, there's nothing that's not going to have any cursing. Every episode next season is going to be heavy, which I'm excited for. No more animated films. We got these out of the way. Like we said, we were trying to keep it light this year for Nigel having 2 babies, and so that's why we did 7 animated films in a row.
In hindsight, maybe not. It may have been better to stretch them out a little bit, but
well, I'm glad they're done. We don't have to go through them anymore. Not that they haven't been enjoyable, but I'm glad that we are out of the animated woods
Yeah.
At least for now, until he does the inevitable Croods 3, which I hope happens eventually.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Yeah. I didn't think I would feel
It's
that
our
way
character
after the
development, I
Croods.
guess.
Yeah.
It's our character arc
Yeah.
with these two movies.
Yeah.
We grew as well and accepted it.
Yeah.
It's part of the family. We've accepted the movies into our pack.
Yeah. Even Arsenal isn't. No.
Oh, fucking God. Oh, my God. And the only saving grace, spoilers, if they do make another Arsenal, is Cage probably wouldn't be in it.
You would
he's
hope.
Playing his other brother. He's playing Eddie's
His
other
twin
brother,
Yeah.
Eddie has a twin brother.
Freddie.
Looks exactly the same. Chris Coppola's in it too. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, he didn't die.
never had a brother.
No, he did die. Yeah,
he
that's
did
right.
die.
He did die,
Spoilers.
yeah.
Doesn't he have another
his
brother in
face
real
bashed
life?
He does. Yeah.
His other brother would be the.
Yeah. Who is apparently also in Dream Scenario, by the way, for a second. Runtime, this was 95 minutes, which the first one was 98, so right about the same length on these. All these animated films, with the exception of Into the Spider-Verse, have been right around the 90-minute mark, which you would expect for kids' movies. Nudity, again, we'll skip it.
It's a
I
monkey
didn't
ass,
notice any
but that's about it.
monkey ass. But
I mean, they
Country-
did get naked in the sauna, but you don't actually see anything. So.
Yeah, you don't. You
They
don't
had
see
their
anything.
cloths on.
Unfortunately, you don't see anything. You don't see a little loincloth tent pop up either, which I'm sure was actually happening, but you know. State and Country Tracker, this again was made up imaginary cave world, so can't really count anything there. Budget versus gross. Unfortunately, you know, because of the pandemic, it didn't make as much as it should have made, but it still made a healthy amount. Had a budget of $65 million and made $216 million, which brings our total budget up to $1.955.5 billion. But we have a gross of $4.576.6 billion, so we're almost at $5 billion. During Nicolas Cage's career, and we're only halfway through. I mean, pretty impressive. Yeah, I got to wonder, like, if by the end we're going to hit like 10 billion. Maybe there's a lot of those late 90s movies that had big budgets that we haven't really talked about yet. So who knows? As far as our top grossing, I think this is just outside the top 10 at 216 million, right below Con Air and just above Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Being right below
somehow-
Con Air is pretty impressive considering it was the pandemic and
Yeah. Like I
Con
said,
Air
I
is like
think
a
it
huge
would have
hit.
probably surpassed the first Croods, probably up to like 600-700 million if it hadn't come out when it did, and if they hadn't waited so long in between the movies.
Yeah, I think that
Like
was
that also
another
hurt it.
factor of it.
Yeah, that hurt it.
If it would have come out in 2018 when they originally planned, I think it would have done a lot better. But that still is like 5 years in between the two movies, which is a long time for animated film.
Yeah,
or
it's
for
tough,
kids' films.
especially for kids' movies. Like we said, kids grow up and
Yeah,
you know,
but
they're
I
gonna be
think
interested.
Pixar has kind of helped reshape that landscape. Because I mean, look at how long it is between some of their films, the sequels
Yeah.
to
like
their films.
20 years between The Incredibles.
Yeah,
But then you
so-
get that sweet spot of like that. Yeah, the kids that watched it are now adults, and they don't mind
With
watching
kids.
a sequel to a movie that
Right.
they hold. You know,
Yeah,
stuff to. If you get
and
somebody who
they
watches a movie at 5, they're probably
Yeah.
not going to be wanting to watch a sequel when they're 11 years old.
Yeah.
You know, to it. So if you
And
are
a lot of
12 or
times those-
15 or
Yeah, like for us, like our generation, like we watched some of these as we were younger kids, and then the sequels came out, and now like for like you, Nigel, you have kids, you're introducing those films to them. Maybe not
Yeah.
quite yet because they're still pretty young, but
Yeah, you're introducing the kids to The Rock and
yeah,
yeah,
you know,
Con
we'll
Air.
throw 'em
and
long legs
there's
next
sequels
year-
to
next
both those
season.
films coming out. Maybe not Con Air, but The Rock, maybe eventually.
What? There's no Rock sequel coming.
There is in my heart.
Face Off, I think, is the
Yeah,
Yeah.
Face Off,
intended
yeah.
sequel, but yeah.
We'll see if that
We'll
actually
see
happens.
if that ever makes it. John Woo is back in a big bad way in America with his like second film back, but he is apparently not at all attached to this proposed Face Off sequel. So who knows, man. Ratings, this is our 11th PG film, which has surpassed PG-13, but that's because we did 7 PG films in a row. So I think after these animated films, we're pretty much done with PGs, I think, throughout. But there could be some, but I don't feel like there are. Anyways, that leads us over to the Cage kill tracker.
Again, he didn't kill anybody, so 0 kills. So still sitting at 202. And then Death Tracker.
Eep gets credit for the baboon monkey kill, right?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that actually dies in the whole movie. Maybe it just falls down a pit. Maybe it survives. It's a cartoon.
I'm sure
or
it'll
whatever.
come back and be their friend in another.
Oh yeah, it'll
the
save
next one.
them in the third act of the third movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So they'll have an epic riding the porcupine monkey moment.
And then he survived this film again. 14 deaths overall over the 50-ish movies we've done. So
What if he died in this? It was so dark.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost killed him off in the first one. Cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Like 7 times.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't kill him. Would have been so messed up. Maybe Phil gives him AIDS like the end of Sunny.
Hey, check it out. I invented something new. I got it from the monkeys.
I got it from the Punch Monkeys.
All right, guys. I'll catch you next week.
Oh, yeah.
He kept smacking me in the face. It just turned me
I
on.
call it an
Can't take it anymore.
autoimmune disease. It's got a nice ring to it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Croods 3, page 0.
Croods the HIV.
Croods 3, a new disease.
Dun dun disease.
Da, da, da.
So, what did you think? Let's rank this film on the Cageometer.
All right, that leads us to the most important question that we ask on the show. Vince, where does the Croods New Dawn, right? Not new, no, New Age.
New Age.
New Age.
I don't know where I keep. New Dawn must be from Mandy. I don't know.
think it's that TV.
It's just from
movie thing.
everything.
Oh yeah, there was the Dawn of the Croods or whatever.
Yeah, something like
maybe
that.
That's where I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, from 2020, where does it rate on your Cageometer?
I know we said this before, but I was expecting not to like this film. I thought it was going to be terrible. But it turned out to be a hidden gem. I'll give it an 8. I thought the story was so much better. It actually made me laugh. I thought they had some great humor in here. I love that they continued the character progression from the first film. And like we've said, they didn't just reset everything because that would have been annoying. Visually, it looks so much better. Holy smokes. It was incredibly improved. The writing was a lot better than the first film. And the voice acting I thought was great. Like Peter Dinklage, holy smokes, did he crush it. He was so great at that in that role. I mean, the whole cast was great, except I don't know why. I don't feel like Emma Stone was really like her character was so flat to me. And I can't remember if it was the same way in the first film, but I think she was probably the worst performance out of all, which is saying something because it was not, I mean, it's not a terrible performance, but I felt like she could have given it a lot more. Speaking of performances, I'll roll over to Cage. I'll give Cage an 8 here. I thought, especially compared to the first movie, holy smokes, did he bring so much more to the character this time that, like you guys said, it felt like a real character this time. It was flushed out, and I'm glad. I'm guessing that was direction that he was given. Like, bring some personality, bring some life to this performance, and it made his performance so much better this time around, and made the character feel more human, I guess, because last time it just kind of felt little wooden, little stale. So yeah, I'll give him an 8. I thought he did a great job in this film and added a lot to the movie, especially since the third act kind of this heavy Cage, and his relationship with Guy and Phil. So I was glad to see that this film was so much more enjoyable than the first one. I'm glad that we ended up doing this one. I was scared that it's going to be a shit show. So,
Same.
yep. That's
Yeah,
what
I
I
was
got to
worried.
say about this one.
Yeah, they let him actually go full cage in this one. Which, you know, I think is what's been missing from the animated films in general is like, let him off the leash and let him do his thing. But yeah. Anyways, Nigel, where does the Croods A New Age rate on your cageometer?
Yeah, thankfully this was a much better movie. I was really surprised at how much I liked it. I think we've all said that. We were all kind of by halfway through that first act, we were like, damn, this movie's all right. We're on board. This is good. I think they did a fantastic job improving everything over the first one. Like I said, with a lot of times with these sequels, it's like they could slash the budget and just kind of crap out something and ride the success of the first one. And it really feels like they didn't with this. It felt like they actually went all out and tried to improve everything with a whole new team. It's kind of shocking given that it was kind of in behind the scenes development hell for so long that it came out as good as it did. And we've seen these people went on and made the Puss in Boots movie, which was like critically acclaimed, not just a financial success. So they had some good people working on it, and whatever that secret sauce was, it's good. The humor's great. The acting, you said the whole cast is awesome. I think they're great at their characters. I think the only one that's a little underdeveloped is Thunk, but I don't think that's the actor's fault. That's just what they didn't give him a lot to do with.
Clark Duke was great in that role, but
he's just the comic relief. That's all they use him for and everything. She's just the idiot younger teen brother, but whatever. But yeah, I think we said it all. Peter Dinklage was a standout. I mean, they're all kind of stands out. They all were unique. They brought some life to the characters, and you could still kind of tell that they were good actors. You can recognize who they were through the performance, but also it didn't detract. So I only dock it a little bit. Did I give my score yet? I was going to give it. Okay, I'll call it an 8 out of 10. I dock it a little bit just because I kind of felt like that third act was a little bit random. There was a lot of things kind of getting added to it really quickly, and just to kind of wrap it up. And I guess it was to make it funny or visually interesting, but it kind of felt like a lot of it came out of left field with what they were introducing. And then, I don't think they could have done more with Thunk. I think they could have given him some kind of character growth. He was the only one that kind of fell flat and was just a one-note joke about an iPad screen, which we talked about it works at start, but not for his entire character for the rest of the movie. It's just kind of like, you could have done something a little bit more. Out of him.
Should like moved on from it in the third act. I feel like would have been better, and like him actually like coming out of his shell, which would have been great. But he just kind of goes right back to it. I don't know.
So but a great sequel across the board. Like it's just a shame that it released when it did and wasn't as successful as it could have been. I think that really cut the legs out under its potential, but I think it deserved to be much more successful than the first one. And unfortunately it wasn't, just because of the circumstances, but it's a much better movie. So
makes me wonder if profitability wise, maybe this was more of a profit, because a $65 million budget versus a $175 million budget. First one made close to 600. This one made over 200.
Yeah, I think it's that takes some of the sting off it, but I still think it wasn't as much as it could have been. So I don't know. Hopefully,
I wonder how it did on streaming, because I'm assuming that they probably dual released, or they.
That's what I was wondering. Was there a day and date, release it to streaming stuff, and then how maybe hopefully it picks up, on the different streaming services as people can watch it, with part of their subscription. And honestly, I do hope they make a third one. I like this one enough that I think they should deserve a shot at making a trilogy out of it, which I never ever thought we would say after watching that first one.
Yep.
So
same.
Yeah. It's great. All right. Bouncing over to Cage. Honestly, I think he did fantastic in this, especially considering what we've seen him with the first movie and what he did with that character or didn't do with the character. To see that, I don't know, he elevated it so much more in this one. I'm going to give him a 9 because I feel like we need to give him the credit where it's due of being a lead character in this animated movie and actually bringing some humanity and character and relatability, and just, I don't know what it was. Everything just felt elevated with it. And Grug felt like a fleshed out person, where in the first one, I just kind of felt like it was Cage reading a lot of lines, and it actually detracted from me. And he in the first one, I kind of felt like everybody else had really good voice performances except for him. And it was just like he was Cage reading lines. And this one, he stands up with everybody else. Everybody kind of brings their A game and does a surprisingly great job with their voice work. So, yeah, I mean, I was going to give him an 8, but then I realized I gave him an 8 for Into the Spider-Verse. And it's like, I don't think it's fair because he has like a dozen lines in that movie compared to this where he's leading the movie. And I think he kind of brings his A game for it. And I don't know what like I said, the secret sauce for that was. I don't know if that was him being more invested in the character after all these years or the directors being a little bit better about it and directing him and just letting him do his thing. You know, maybe the first directors kind of shackled him a little bit, but he goes more cagey in it, but it feels more natural and it feels normal for the character. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a great way for us to end these animated movies with the character that I think he deserved to play. Because I think we said in the first, I think I said in the first one, it just could have been anybody playing Grug with the way that they performed it. And this is like, he brought that Nicolas Cage flavor to it in a way that it's still the same character. It feels normal, feels natural, but it's enjoyable. And he definitely made that character his. So yeah, I was really impressed with it and I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, who would have thought that this like kind of the arbitrary way that we did these movies, kind of doing them in the order that they were released, with the Croods being the first one, because I wanted to bookend with the Croods, but like who would have thought that this one would actually be our favorite out of all of them? It makes sense now why it was referenced so many times in Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah.
They didn't reference the first one, they referenced this one.
Yeah.
Of course I've seen Croods too, or of course I haven't seen Croods too. I'm a man.
Yeah. And I wouldn't recommend the first one. I'd recommend this one even if you hadn't seen the first one because it's
totally. Yeah.
You don't need to see the first one.
At the beginning that you don't need to go back and watch it.
Yeah. And this one's much more enjoyable. So don't waste your time on that first one. Just watch this one.
Yeah. I wonder if that's why they did it, is because it's a 7.5 year gap. They like kind of recap the first movie a little bit.
Yeah.
In that opening.
I think they also figured there's not a bunch of Croods fans out there. There's going to be new parents bringing their kids to see this as their first introduction to it. So you can't make it overly complicated continuity between the two movies.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it fits. The first one opens with kind of the cave drawing recap of who the Croods are and their family and stuff. So I think they did good.
Yeah, it's great. On my cageometer, I'm just going to echo what you guys said for the most part. I also gave it an 8. It's, I think, the most enjoyable out of all the animated films that we've done, aside from Into the Spider-Verse, which, that's pretty high praise, especially for us. Like,
yeah.
I feel like we enjoyed some of the other animated films, but this one was really good. I mean, solid throughout, ensemble cast. I didn't feel like Emma Stone was all that flat. I thought she did well, Like Eep had to be more grounded this time around. I feel like that's maybe part of what happened with Cage. Was like in the first movie, he had to be more grounded as the stern father figure who was just trying to keep everybody together. And then this one, he kind of gets let loose to be a full fleshed out character because he's had that character development from the first movie. I don't know. Whatever they did, bravo. They actually got Cage to give a performance in an animated film, which, as we've said, seems to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because, like, Astro Boy is so flat. Ant Bully, flat. The first Croods, flat. But this movie, he really, like, was able to bring his own personality to it and actually, like, give life to Grug. But, yeah, like... I'll go back for 65 million versus 175 in the first movie. They did such a great job with the visuals, the music. Mark Mothersbaugh really brought a lot to this, I think. The editing was great. The writing is great. The only like things that bring it down in my mind is like I feel like the Thunder Sisters was kind of a cop out to try and wrap things up as quickly as possible in the third act. It was funny and it worked, but it felt like it was a little forced. And again, I wonder if part of that was like Cloris Leachman had given a certain performance and they wanted to pay homage to her in the third act because she passed, but maybe she hadn't passed at that point. I don't know, but they felt like they gave more to her character, especially from the first movie. She was just kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
And she's like the badass in this movie who leads the charge to save the men. But yeah, I don't really want to hearken too much or whatever. I don't want to harp on things too much. I feel like it's really well done. And one note thunk was the only thing that kind of bothered me a little bit towards the end. I wish he would have had some more character development like we talked about. Cage, like I said, just he brought his A game to this one. I'm going to give him an 8. I don't know if I can quite give him a 9. But I did think he elevated the character to a whole new level. And I got to wonder if it's the direction that, like I said, that he was held in check in the first one because he had to be more grounded, but then was able to be slapsticky and goofy the whole movie, which he really is. He's just slapstick the whole movie, but he still has that like fatherly feel to him. Yeah. And I think it's because we developed that in the first movie, but I don't know, without having the ability to have not seen the first movie and just seen this one, I don't know if that comes across the same way, but I feel like we get that fatherly feel because we've already seen him be that father for an hour and a half before, and he doesn't really do it so much in this one. But yeah, overall, it's a great performance. The movie is so much more enjoyable than I expected. I did not like. As soon as the goddamn sloth showed up at the DreamWorks logo, I was like, fuck, this is going to be a slog. But ended up being great and one of my favorite films that we've done this season, surprisingly.
Yeah, same.
It feels so meta for this movie. Like, for these movies, it's kind of about that getting thrown into a situation that you don't think you're going to like and then kind of really enjoying it by the end and kind of transforming and seeing all the good that can come from it. That's kind of how I felt watching this after watching the first one.
Yeah,
so
same. Totally.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm sad though that like we may not get another one just because it had to come out during the pandemic and it was such a train wreck behind the scenes apparently. But the movie ended up great, and that's all that really matters. Is like if you make a great movie, then you should be able to make a sequel to it, and it was. And it's
profitable. A contained movie too. It's self-contained. You don't need another one.
You don't.
But it's weird that we're all kind of bummed that there might not be another one. Why the hell are we all pulling for a Croods 3?
Yeah. I mean, I selfishly want to see Nick get a really good payday out of a third movie that makes $700-800 million. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So he can buy some more islands and then go back in debt and make a bunch of terrible movies for another 10 years. And
I think it's also
the
just
cycle continues.
we objectively appreciate quality and we want to see it rewarded. So even if there's a crappier, version of it, a crappier, inferior version we shit on, and then the sequel is good, we'll give it a good shake and want to see more.
Who would have thought?
Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. These are the cagiest moments of the film.
Come on, man. Just chill. No, you come on, man. I'm going to chill you out.
Easy.
Can Grug hear us? Oh, yeah. Grug hears. Grug hears all about your private two-person house of tomorrow, whispering, kissing, butter, babble, brooking. What the heck is that? Huh? Here, right here. All your needs will be met.
I'm hungry.
In a minute! Yes, I can. Banana.
Banana?
Come on, punch monkeys! Let's get this on! It's not just punch monkeys. It's kick monkeys, headbutt monkeys, low monkeys, bite monkeys, ab-tight monkeys, shoulders that punch, tails that crunch, deranged stranglers, strange danglers, thang danglers, mouth breathers, brain squeezers, and a dude with weird eyes. Pack stays together, bro. Bros. What the best bros? Bro FFs. Banana bros. Bros.
What are they doing?
It's just a little punch monkey.
I'm leaving.
You just kept giving it bananas? Wait, let me understand something. You had no idea you were working for an itty bitty monkey? Give it.
That's it for this episode of One Cage at a Time. As always, be sure to drop us an email at onecagepodcast@gmail.com to let us know if we missed anything, or hit us up with suggestions to improve the show, comments, compliments, or simply to gush about the legend that should get a Croods 3 payday. Now that we're done with these animated films, we can finally talk about a movie we actually wanted to talk about throughout this whole season. You know, we had some hidden gems in here, but, you know, none of us were like over the moon to be like, hey, let's talk about Astro Boy. Twice, by the way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, it does mean that our next episode will be our season 4 finale. But fear not, we're going out in style with the 2023 dark comedy Dream Scenario. I guess depending on who you talk to, it's like some people say it's a horror movie, and I do not think it's a horror movie. Some people think it's a dramedy. I feel like it's a very dark comedy. It has some really hilarious moments in it. Mm-hmm. It does get dark and it gets sad, but it's a very interesting parable on cancel culture and how even people who don't want to be celebrities can be canceled against their will. But Nick plays a boring college professor who suddenly becomes famous worldwide when he starts randomly showing up in the background of everyone's dreams. Crazy premise for a film. I told you guys offline, but I was watching the behind the scenes on Dream Scenario and said there were only 5 films that he's ever read the script from and thought, I have to do this because it's so unique and amazing. Dream Scenario was one. Raising Arizona was one. Leaving Las Vegas. Adaptation. And Vampire's Kiss, which makes me so happy to hear him say that. Vampire's Kiss was one of the ones that he was like, I have to do this. Which I will defend that movie till the day I die. That's a fucking masterpiece. And Cage is so goddamn good in it. But anyways, make sure to watch Dream Scenario wherever fine films are sold or on your streaming service of choice. Until then, we'll say goodbye the way we do each and every episode with our Nicolas Cage quote of the film.
I don't like it here, all right? My pet's all split up. There's no one to sleep on with. You will let me eat bananas? God gave Eve a rock. He kissed my hand. They're planning on leaving the pack. And I don't like you at all.
Thanks for listening to One Cage at a Time. Visit us online at onecageatatime.com or follow us on the social media platform of your choice for more Nicolas Cage goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really like the show, become a member of our Patreon where you can download unedited and ad-free episodes, as well as listen to our follow-up show, Back Into the Cage, where we re-examine each movie to discuss what we missed the first time around, answer listener questions, and wax poetic about the man, the myth, the legend that is Nicolas Cage.
It's hot in here.
Grog, you might be more comfortable if you removed your fur pelt.
I already did.